Welcome to episode 6. My name is Danielle Stiles.
And I'm Chasey Bardach, and today we are talking influencer marketing with Megan Noel and her role at Ninja Zone.
What does influencer marketing even mean to you and your business?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, right? So right now, what influencer marketing looks like for me in my role is different than it looked a year ago or 2 years ago, or even in a different role in marketing. So it really is, kind of depends on the business that you're in and the size of your business and where you're at. In my past life, I like to say, I used to be a teacher. So I taught for 10 years, and after my second son was born, I thought I gotta do something different. And I was always pretty decent at writing, so I decided I'm gonna start pursuing freelance writing and dabble in marketing, because it was always kind of an interest of mine. So I started doing that, got some jobs writing, took on some copywriting, ended up working with a local family blogger here as an editor, and kind of was on the other side of that influencer. So I was the one that companies were tapping us to say, hey, do you want to come to preview an event or see the space, and could you write about it on your blog type of thing. So that's where I started. And then once it kind of developed my career a little bit, I said I got my marketing degree via audiobooks and blog articles, because it was like, lots of Audible credits. But I then transitioned into kind of a software company as a marketing specialist, and then my current CEO actually found me on the internet. She found me on Twitter, so and then came in as a writer for her, and then quickly transitioned into the marketing director in my current role. So when I first was trying to develop our marketing strategy, we needed everything, but influencer marketing, having come from that space in my previous work, being an influencer myself, I knew the importance of it, and so I started to try to implement that in our marketing plan.
So what is Ninja Zone?
So Ninja Zone, here's the elevator pitch, right?
Right.
Ninja Zone is a gym licensing program for kids. So basically a combination of gymnastics, parkour, martial arts, character component, all wrapped into one. We sell licenses to traditionally female spaces because they don't have any boys. Obviously, girls can do it too, but we sell it to gymnastics gyms, cheer gyms, dance gyms, standalone facilities that want to get into the children's rec space. So that's what we do. And then we also have 5 local gyms here in Indianapolis. So we have gymnastics and standalone ninja programs here in Indianapolis. So I am supporting our licensees, and then I'm also supporting our local audiences.
Okay,
so trying to teach our licensees how to utilize things like influencer marketing, but then also using our local gyms and really trying to make those connections with them.
Leading by the example, if you will.
Right, and just fostering that community of, okay, this is why it's important that you utilize these marketing strategies, and here's where you meet these people to be able to utilize them as influencers. So, and you asked, what is influencer marketing?
To you.
To me.
Yeah.
So when we started, I looked at it from where I worked in a space that was, we had lots and lots of followers. We would be considered more of a macro influencer versus some of these, in the big blog space, I guess, is where I came from. So I started tapping all the big bloggers that I knew of to try to get them involved. Well, now, as the years have gone on, I've realized that there's this micro-influencer market that is equally as powerful as some of these macro-influencers. So really incorporating a variety of different types of influencers.
So I love where this is headed, but I want to slow you down a minute to maybe explain to those who don't know, what is a macro-influencer? What is a micro-influencer?
I think when you say macro and micro, it really depends on your community, because to me, micro-influencer might mean something different than to you, where if you're a small business in a small town or a small community, your micro-influencer is significantly smaller than maybe my micro-influencer. But when we technically talk about those terms, macro being someone who has a lot of followers, like they might have 100,000, they might have 10,000, they might in your space. And a micro would be somebody who has a smaller following per se, but is a targeted audience that of the people that you want. So ideally in your head you have, here are the people that I want to be my customers, and
Your
you're looking,
avatar, if you will.
customer avatar, yes, or your, and you want to take your avatar and say, where else are they living? Do they live in
So, like, what
a
other
fashion
content are they
space? Like,
consuming,
how are they consuming their content? Where are they consuming their content? And from other platforms beyond ours. Find the people that fit both your morals and your company values, and then also has the audience that you
I think
are
that's
looking
such a
for.
great point, especially from an aesthetic perspective. I'm sure you can speak more to this from a photographer, but I think a lot of people hire influencers, and I say people, I mean businesses hire influencers, and then are disappointed or let down by the fact that maybe they write their posts with a lot of emojis or they use a certain kind of editing on the film, and that comes down to style, right? You're not only picking them based on their audience, but also the style of which they're creating that media. Because I'm making an assumption now, I don't know. I assume that you guys expect them to create media as part of that partnership.
Right. So we were talking earlier. I mean, we've not done this perfectly. This is not one of those things
Sure.
where
It's not a
I'm
perfect
just
science.
I'm gonna implement this plan and everything's gonna go wonderfully. We've had our share of negative experiences with, like, oh man, I really should have done this differently. Like, she's doing exactly what I asked her to do, but I wish I had asked her to also do this and this, and then you just kind of revise.
So when did you start with Ninja Zone?
I started with Ninja Zone in 2016, the beginning of 2016.
And when did you start the influencer marketing?
So we started somewhat soon. One of our big first things we did was I threw an influencer event, like a party, and one of our new gyms opened, and that was a huge milestone for me personally, because I was like terrified no one was even going to show up.
So it went well. Don't
Yes,
let
it went.
us-
It went great. It was beautiful. It was a really great event, and it actually, the benefit too is it showed some of my colleagues who were always very supportive of whatever crazy idea I was coming up with. So supportive, but they maybe saw value in it. It was tangible at that point. Where it
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, I get it now. Like, what is influencer marketing?
So are there things that were working then in influencer marketing or not working that are working / not working now? How's that temperature changed?
So I'm actually very excited. We have a current campaign happening at the local level here with some influencers, and the shift between then and now has been so much better than it was. Like, not that anything I did was necessarily detrimental to our brand or anything, but like where we've gotten in our processes for influencer marketing, and just how I think we'll be able to, because backing up, I mean, these people are professionals. Like, influencers are not, I think it's a dirty word sometimes. They think,
Sure,
oh,
yeah. Well, there's
I'm taking a selfie in front of, whatever,
right.
and holding up a bottle of lotion, and there's your, promo.
That's influencer marketing.
Right. That's not always what it is. It really is about, like, storytelling and brand engagement and those types of things.
I want to lean into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I know you two
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Because we get asked this question all the time: is an influencer a blogger? Do I have to have a blog to be an influencer? What's the sort of media I should expect? What should I expect to pay? There's like all of this ambiguity around the expectations, or I should say, even the deliverables that an influencer is coming to a brand with.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're a B2C company. Well, we're B2B, so business to business and business to customer. So
Yeah.
what I care about most is I want really great pictures of moms and dads with their kids having fun doing our classes. Like, that's what I want. But like another brand might say, it is important for them to actually do a write-up about everything that's, so it would be more beneficial if it lived on a blog space. But no, I don't think in general that, I don't necessarily care if it's a blogger or somebody who just has a Facebook or an Instagram. But again, that comes back to my own company goals and marketing goals personally, of like, what do we want?
How are we going to use this
like,
media?
what's the goal of having
Yeah.
all these people? Like, what am I trying to get out of this? I want these great pictures of these adorable kids and their moms and dads and dressed up in our ninja uniforms. Like, all over social media. Like that's my goal.
Oh, you're getting there. All I see is Ninja Zone. I see tons of. Do you see a lot of Ninja Zone?
Yeah. I love that.
So
That's
basically,
what's
for
cool.
moms like Danielle and I we all have boys, so we're like, hey, this is amazing because these boys look like they're getting worn out. This is the kind of thing we want to be a part of. So
That's how I always know targeted advertising is working, is when I actually get targeted things that I'm like, that's super applicable to me. Like, I'm using hashtags.
Yeah.
I'm showing up in spaces where I would truly be an ideal target audience for you. And when I see the sponsored posts, I always pay attention to, like, what's native content and what's sponsored.
Yeah.
I'm literally thrilled for you. I, like, want to screenshot and send them to you, like, yay, it's working.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
the goal, yeah. So, but I think that it really comes down to, you're forming these relationships with not only the individual influencers, but with the community, right? So there's a whole network, which I don't think business owners even realize, because when I talk to try to train some of our gym owners on this is the benefit of influencer marketing, they don't understand that there's a whole network of you people out there. There's a whole network of influencers and bloggers and social media, like savvy people that can take your brand to a different level if
just
you have a
invite
good
them.
relationship with a few of them, they're going to be like, oh yeah, you should work. They're normally not very like, it's a pretty
Territorial.
Yeah, sometimes they are business people, but like they're willing to say, you should work with this company too, like after my contract's up, then so
So let's talk about that. You have contracts.
Yep.
yeah, so that was a big improvement. from
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
started.
When did you start doing contracts?
Actually, this is our first. So we have several contracts that with some of our bigger advertising and influencers. So some of our big community partnerships have influencers built into them. So like some of the big family and the hyper-local blogs and magazines often have now started incorporating influencer marketing into their packages. So for those, I use their contracts. And so once their contracts started coming to me, I was like, these are really great.
Yeah.
Like, how can I steal
Replicate
these
these.
components?
Yes.
And instead of doing a handshake deal with somebody and saying,
Yes.
like, I'll give you classes and pay you this little stipend if you do this and this, and then hope to uphold that, now I've realized the importance of a window of time. So, like, not saying you're just going to be indefinitely working with us. Like, we're going to work together for this time period. Not that we can't extend the contract, but this is the time period of the campaign.
Clear expectations.
These bullet points is the expectations. And then what we started doing with this newest campaign is I work with a PR agency that manages our contracts. So
I love that.
to kind of help the brand, so it's a save face if there are issues, then the PR agency can go be the bad guy for me. So I'm like, oh, we had a violation on this contract. Can you just like poker and make sure that like it's coming, or see what the deal was, or
you can
whatever.
stay good cop.
Yeah,
I can
and you don't have the
stay
time for
friendly,
that
yeah.
anyways. I mean, you don't have time for that.
Right, and they're really very. I would encourage business owners to check out working with a PR company if they feel overwhelmed with some of this, because they're not outrageously expensive. It's not like one of those things that's like, oh, well, when we hit a certain revenue number, then we'll think about investing in this. It's just another piece of your marketing budget, really.
So give us a ballpark. What's an expectation to
So they work, it's an hourly kind of, so it depends how many hours you buy, right? So you might be, you could get under, you could get it $100 a month if you want it, if that was your budget. I'm sure they would be able to work with you to have that. We spend, anywhere several $100s a month to much more than that, depending on the goals of the company at the time.
And
So-
do they help you write the contract, or it's something you submit? They kind of look it over.
Yeah, so and they have expertise obviously working in that space as well. So they were able, I kind of said, this is what I like. I copied another big company's influencer marketing campaign from last year that I was like, I really like their campaign. Is there any way you can find their contract and what they required of influencers, and then go from there? And so they kind of took my notes and put it together and made it nice, and then made sure they got them back signed from all the influencers. And
Well, that's a huge piece of
That's
your job.
major.
yeah.
So are you teeing up those influencers to those opportunities, or how are you guys facilitating as a company those campaigns?
So how are we facilitating just like how they're, like, how do we come up with even the campaigns?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking
Yeah.
from a mindset of business who says, okay, you sold me on the concept, but like step one, like
Right.
how would I even begin to come up with what does a campaign look like? What are those level of expectations? You know, you've obviously been doing this a while. You've give them an opportunity to not reinvent the wheel,
Right.
if you will.
I think, I mean, really, I always say you got to go back to that why. Like, why are you even wanting to do this? Okay, so you want to increase sales during the holidays by 10%, or you want to sell 50 gift certificates.
Clear
or
goals in
whatever.
mind.
So start with your why about what's the whole goal of the campaign. You know, just want to, and it could just be brand awareness. Like, I just want our name out there more right
Yeah.
now.
People
than-
to know that we're on the south
Yes.
side or the east side or
there's a million jewelry stores, and a jewelry store company wants to, you know, just get their name out there and freshen people's mind. That's a goal. That's fine. So I think you design it around that.
Okay.
But typically, it's fairly simple. Like, we ask for, you know, pictures is my goal, right? I want more pictures. So do Instagram stories every time your kid's in class. Take some pictures and post them on your feed. So stories, feed. They do a write-up once a month, like a blog post, but some of them aren't bloggers, so they're just going to submit it to me then at the end.
And you can use it for a review or
yeah,
however you
yeah,
want. or
yeah.
on
I
your
can
own
use
blog.
it as an asset,
Yeah.
right, and for my own. But
that's fantastic. I have to know, as somebody who's had a background that kind of played in this space and you admittably got a degree through Audible, what are some great Audible resources or podcasts or
oh wow, I mean, I think first is just doing your own local research. So surely there are companies, you see a sponsored post on Instagram, click through and look and see what else they're doing that's sponsored. Like, what
Yeah.
companies are they working with? And kind of just start to develop your own education about what can be possible with influencer marketing.
I love that. I think that a huge piece of influencer marketing, when I talk to business owners that they really feel overwhelmed with, is twofold. Price, how can they afford it? The influencer market is always really infamous for saying collaborations don't pay your bills.
Right.
So the business owners kind of have that hesitation of, can I afford them? What is it going to cost me? Versus, how do I measure the results of
Yeah.
this campaign? So I've invested. How do I know it was worth my investment?
A lot of it goes back to just a gut feeling of how do you feel like it's going when it's happening. So going back to your question about pricing and
Yeah.
budgets, and just ask. I mean, start with figuring out who you like and
And
ask,
saying, "What's it gonna
because they
cost
might
me?"
say, "Oh, I'll do it for a trade," or they might say, "Well, we have my monthly fee is this amount," and then you'll gauge whether that is a good fit for you, or maybe you can negotiate and be like, "Okay, well, what if you did half of the post that I originally proposed? Can you lower your fee or whatever?" And then normally influencers have all sorts of packages or are willing to work within your parameters, especially if they're interested in your brand. Like,
That's
if they
huge.
want to be partners with you.
So that's
Yes.
taking it all off the business, right?
Right.
You don't have to have a standard of expectation. You can seek out those who you feel best align with your brand or your business, and then just ask them.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind they're building a brand as well. So if they feel that you are a good fit for their brand and would be able to use what they do for you with somebody else, then
It's a mutual
there's-
partnership.
Yes, yeah, there's a win-win for both of you.
I think a big component of this really is helping business owners understand how it's not as irrational as, let me just tap into a couple of local moms who happen to shop at my store. I'd like to talk about that a little bit, because that's always the number one question I get from business owners when I start to explain influencer marketing is, are they my existing clients, or are they clients who've never been here before? What's your opinion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. No, I think that there's definitely a benefit of if you have a customer that is a raving fan, like, take advantage of them being a raving fan and say, hey, I'll give you a code if you promote this on your page to all your friends and they come in and shop, like, we'll give you a little bit of a kickback. Like,
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that's fine. Cause
So those are more informal relationships. Those would not
Yeah.
be people you're considering part of campaigns.
Sure. I mean, if they're you always consider everybody part of a campaign, but I think that because one of the things, especially with millennial audiences is that if they love something, they love to tell everybody they love it. So
It's true.
why
Yeah.
not use that to your benefit and then let them talk about it
Yes.
even more? So that is one component of it. But no, they don't have to be. I mean, all of our influencers currently are not people who currently worked with us or who have engaged with our brand. So I think it's great to tap into people who have no exposure with your brand
Right.
because they can give you an honest feedback
They're
about
experiencing your brand just
Right.
like the new person would.
and they might shine a whole other perspective on things that you didn't realize was even an issue or an angle that you didn't ever catch before. So, for
So
both
would
of
you
those
call
types of people.
one a brand ambassador, or do you have a name for it?
That's a great name for it. Yeah, brand ambassador. Yeah, is a great name for somebody who just is shouting from the rooftops. I think about how great your brand is.
So I'd love for you to speak into a little bit of your role and how you fill that need for Ninja Zone.
Sure.
And really your background from an experience perspective that it's allowed you to lean into this role. I assume that this could be a position that's replicated amongst all businesses.
Yeah, and so I think because what I do is twofold for Ninja Zone. So obviously we have 5 local gyms with the 6th one in construction here in the greater Indianapolis area. So I'm supporting our local gyms and creating connections within the community and that type of thing for them. But then we have 350 licensees. So they've purchased our curriculum and I am their marketing support. So they're still doing their own marketing and social media, and I'm there more of as a teacher to help guide them along the way.
So have you leveraged businesses as influencers? Okay, so we're not talking the blogger, I don't want to say typical, but your blogger space.
Right.
But have you leveraged like other businesses, other entities to come in as an influencer,
Right.
whatever we want to call that, into?
That's a
Have
really
you played in that
interesting.
space at
no,
all?
that's a really interesting perspective that you brought that up. So the only things we've ever really done is just kind of a partnership. We want to leverage their audience too, and we're like, oh well, we'd be happy to put your brochures in our lobby
Right.
if you would put our free trial passes on your countertop, or we're
Right.
having this event, a community event. Would you like to participate? We'll give you a free a table for free. Just come and hand
Right.
out your stuff and participate in the event. So not really.
How are you then kind of bridging that gap between I see you, but I'm not coming to you yet?
Right.
Do you have any advice for business owners?
Well, I think you have to always remember that people are on their phones a lot. So I always tell our gyms, do you have a way, are you telling people to do anything? Like, are you telling them to call you or go to your website or email you or to schedule a class or to
Right.
book an appointment or whatever? Or if you're not telling them what to do, a lot of times people just like scroll and move on.
They're
But
just consuming.
You need to
Yeah.
say, hey, book a class, call this number, and you need to make it so they can click it and they can call right there.
Right.
Get bossy on social.
Yeah, I mean, you have
Yes.
to ask for what you want. You
Yeah.
can't just imply, look at this beautiful shirt. It's great. What are your hours? Like, when can they come in and buy this beautiful shirt?
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
be
think just
specific.
being specific and telling people what you want them to do with your content.
Is that something you dictate that your influencers do?
So what we're kind of in, so it's a stage, yeah. So right now we have a 3-month campaign, and right now it's all about just brand awareness and engagement, right? So we're kind of setting the
Exposure.
stage,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then we are going to start pushing a promotion, right? So then they're going to start saying, hey, they've got this
Okay.
2-for-1 deal happening. And so then we move into the consumer side of things. So it's really trying to create a bridge to the sale, too. You don't want to
Okay.
just people don't like to be sold to all the time.
Yeah.
You want to have a relationship with the brand.
You're
as
giving
well.
them those 7 hits before you try to sell to them.
Yeah,
I
I
love
it.
that.
So tell me this, I asked before, it's worth repeating. What resources can you offer to people who are willing to learn? The Audible books, the podcasts, any of that? Can you give any recommendations?
Specifically, just how are you approaching your business into the world? Like, how are you presenting yourself? What's your why? Is everything that you are doing should go back to this is what my company is and this is what it believes, and then it kind of trickles out from that.
Do you do any small business consulting anymore at all?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm always dabbling.
Yeah.
It's
How do
like
we-
the job of a marketer, right? Like can't really sit still very
Yeah.
long.
How do people contact you for that?
Yeah, you can email me at Megan, Megan, at theninjazone.com.
Fantastic. So if they want, what kind of advice would you be able to
Hit me
offer?
up on LinkedIn or
Okay, LinkedIn. What's
there
your
you
what? Okay, what is
Megan Noel, Noel, like Noel.
like
So-
Noel? All right,
but-
we'll be following you on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Indie Social is now
Very
on
nice.
Justin.
Just got our profile up. We're going to start leveraging it. Before we let you go, I have one final question for you. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
I would love the one piece of advice that you would have given your former self had you known then what you know now about the influencer community.
So, I mean, I think the only piece of advice is you just can't be afraid of failure. That if you shuffle your feet and you don't jump in the pool and experience it yourself, then you're never gonna know what works and what doesn't. So just don't wait so long to get started.
Thank you so much for sitting with us.
Thank
it
you.
was
It was
wonderful.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, we have so much more to add to this conversation. Next up, we will be speaking with Katie Mann, who actually runs Indie with Kids.
She's great.
All right, on that note, we will see you all in the next episode.